Good afternoon, Speed Gaming, and welcome to this presentation of the Link to the Past Randomizer Invitational League. This is Week 2, a matchup between Kaysden of Team JKLOL and James FNX of Team Pass the Potence. We've got a boss hunt match for you today. This is the second game of 2 between these teams this week. The first one was between Leoria and Pichu. That happened yesterday. But I'm MindDM. I'm going to be on the call of this one today with Jesse, aka Radical Sniper 99. Jesse, how are you doing today?
Nervous mess as I watch my teammate run again. Why do I calm races my teammates are in? This is scary always.
Well, in fairness to that, the first thing that I did today was I sent a DM to one of the Pass the Potence teammates and said, "Hey, PH, you want to call this game with me?" And apparently he was out and about and he didn't get back to me right away. And when he finally did, he said, "You know what? Why don't you and Jesse go ahead and call this? And that way I can just worry about the outcome of this quietly while I watch." So there's a little of that going around. Speaking of things going around, that was a sword in the sanctuary, was it not?
That it was. So good early start for a weapon.
All of a sudden, if you want to check a tier 2 or a tier 3 tree pole here, you've got a little availability to do that without spending a whole lot of time. You can still just check tier 1 if you want, which it looks like is what Kaysden and James are both going to do.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to set up to try to get some more on the way here. That is blue rupees off the bush crab. Unfortunately, that throw did get a little away from Kays. And Kays is not scouting Lumberjack. I thought with him head up here, he might have done it, but no.
Yeah, when you choose to go that far up, you're already within shouting distance of it, and if you're not going to do it, then I guess you can still wait for the boots, but you're kind of there at that moment.
I mean, I'll also say it right now, like, Kaysden, why are you picking up bushes? You have a sword. Kaysden, please.
Sometimes you just neglect the little things.
But there's a flute, so early we have quite a bit of movement now.
Yeah, you're going to be going to the village anyway. The real trick when you get a flute that early, when you're just kind of on your normal opening route, is remembering to activate the darn thing.
Yeah. So it does look like our guards are in the money pack. We have enough bombs to get through CAC. You'll be able to buy bombs. Always remember you got 50 rupees in the backs of Blind's Hut and the Well, so easy money to get those two. James doing a little better money side of things. He's got 40 rupees already, so maybe thinking he'll have a chance at Bottle Vendor. Depending on there's another 50, so that's a good find. Our bow does give us an early dungeon and a nice 300 as well.
All of a sudden the game just kind of squaring you away for the things that you're going to need to do bright and early.
And that's quick silvers on for our runners, as the second bow is in the back of a Blind's Hut. Baby game? Just a little bit?
Yeah, sometimes this mode can just hide a couple of swords away and one of the bows, and you're sitting there staring at a Master Sword Silverless Pig, and it's like, I don't really want to do all these spins. Well, now you're just sitting here 3 minutes into the game, and you say, well, I know at least I get to poke the pig with silver sticks at the end of it. This is fine.
I mean, the Well giving us a Fire Rod and half magic. This is a very nice start to a race. Good equipment.
Yeah, humorously, we're getting all of these nice things, and yet the Dark World Access puzzle, we haven't seen a single piece of it yet.
Yeah, we'll talk about this. The fact is, we're near the end of week 2, and the mode, of course, is boss hunt. So we're looking to get 10 Triforce pieces. There are 12 in the pool. Each one, there are ones behind each of our 10 dungeons, and then there are 2 in GT, one behind Ice Armos and one behind Moldorm 2. So plenty of options for those 10. Definitely looking at what bosses we can avoid. I think TR has kind of become one of the avoid dungeons this week. Not that we haven't seen it become a play in multiple races.
It's one of those dungeons that simply requires so many things to do, and then it's really kind of stretched out. It's not unlike Pod in some ways, in that you get stuck trying to pick up a whole bunch of keys in the front of it, and doing a whole bunch of screen transitions and pipe transitions, and it doesn't feel good. Whether or not it's actually faster in some cases than some other things that you could be doing, it just doesn't. You think about it and you think, man, TR takes a while. Do I really want to be in there?
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about that. Our library has a crystal on it. We know it's a regular crystal, so we're not going to worry about picking it up ever. Crystals and pendants are out in the pool. You can tell a red crystal apart from the others. It will actually be red. And then, of course, the pendants, we will see the green of the green pendant, as well as the little, asterisk. And that is a hammer on Desert Ledge. Ooh. Okay, so book will be very nice to have, unless, of course, this could be a Myth's Mirror situation.
Yeah, with the flute already in inventory, you look at it, you'd certainly like to backdoor into desert, clean up some mire area checks really quick while you're there, but sometimes you just have to go in through the front door and take your lumps a bit.
There's our boomerang, our blue boomerang out of Agina. Not a huge deal. We did get Burna as well at the dam. The quick Link's house check, just $50, so money's been available. And there's our first shield being left behind as the sunken item.
Tempting in some ways, in others, you're making that right-hand turn and heading for Mini Moldorm Cave. Do you really? How much time do you think you have to give?
Not usually. This mode has been just crazy. A lot of really close races this week. So you don't want to burn seconds. This is, I know a lot of people said, first to mitts is a huge deal. But it's definitely come down to some of those skips. There's our glove, though. On our Mini Moldorm NPC.
Glove starts to answer some questions. Kasten, with that knowledge of the hammer, has a little more to go on.
Yeah, and I will say, that's an easy Eastern now. I'm not even thinking when it comes to what I do after this. Good sharpshooting with the fire rod from Kaze. I would head to Eastern Palace, do that in the Saha. Back of Escape looks really good. We could see a save and quit from Ice Rod Cave that I'd really like, just for the Back of Escape. But yeah, this is both teams' fourth game of the season. 1 and 2 currently for JKLOL. 0 and 3, unfortunately, for Past the Potence. So looking to get on the scoreboard today. But, Invitational League, as always, is a brutal season across the board.
You look at every team really in Invitational League, and not to knock Open, there's so many teams in Open that you look at and you're like, I don't really want to have to play this person either. But when it comes to Invitational League, you've really got the point there. Is every game is a difficult game, every series is a difficult series. You look down the list of whoever you're going to have to play that season, and it's just Murderer's Row. You don't get a week off.
Now, we did see the Back of Escape over on James's side, and he does pull the green pendant out of the back. So when he goes to Saha Eastern, he'll actually get to do an extra check that could be pretty major. I think James forgot his flute, though, because I'm not really digging the walk over to Eastern area out of Link's house.
That's a bit of a slog.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I will say this routing of the Eastern area is not your best bet. Nice full magic on stun prize. $300 on Saha is nice, giving us Zora money if necessary, but not a huge loss for Kazdan in the moment. But yeah, so today and tomorrow are our last 2 days of Boss Hunt, and then Monday we will begin week 3, which brings us back into co-op with Duality, which will be a really fun mode. I really look forward to seeing everybody in this one.
I've heard a lot of good things. I have not played it personally, but everything that I've heard, people really seem to enjoy it. It seems to be a lot of people's choice for the co-op mode of this season, potentially.
Yeah, so I will say, like, as you know, co-op is such a big part of the League experience. Like, I'm looking forward to seeing everybody, play that next week. But until then, we do have this Boss Hunt mode, which did see was a mode you got to try out with the War for Hyrule, that event that happened last year.
There have been some minor changes made to it. There have been a few other different flavors of it kind of kicking around the community, a couple of different entrance variants, which is not what we have here, kind of thankfully from my perspective. But this has changed from the original flavor where we have that pendant crystal shuffle into the general pool so that the bosses can drop an item potentially, or a dungeon item in some cases, and then the Triforce in place of what would normally be a pendant or crystal.
Yeah. So War for Hyrule introduced the original version of Boss Hunt in a way, and then Main Tourney did Cross Hunt, which was the entrance variant, and then the XD Hunt was a small side tourney that happened. And now we're back to a slight variation on Boss Hunt. It makes perfect sense, I swear, everybody. But those were the Titansmiths that we did get here in Eastern Palace, so that idea of a mirror is really starting to come out.
Certainly something that you would expect Kazdan in particular, with the knowledge already, to be keeping an eye out for, and you would expect a pretty quick rush of that particular location just as soon as he's able.
And I will say, like, from James's perspective, I think that becomes a similar play for him. Like, you get a mirror with mitts and a flute. I think there's that alarm bell as a runner that just says, checkerboard is a thing.
Yeah, checkerboard is a thing. You get the couple of checks really quick in Mire Shack as well. It lets you do that little backdoor play into Desert, and you've already got a fire rod, so the chances are decent that you're able to clear that dungeon, plus or minus whether or not you found the boots by that point.
Now, James did skip the vanilla big key chest, so made up some time here in Eastern. We'll be missing that last item. I don't know if James is playing a little more aggressive. I know this is one of those things where it's, how do you approach your opponent in these races? Do you care about the execution difference? Does that matter? So, but that is a Triforce piece for both of our runners very quickly at 12 minutes and 40 seconds.
1 down, 9 to go.
Now, James is going to flute away here. He finished up with Saha. Kaze still has to go get Saha. Kazdan.
Or not, as the case may be.
Or not. Yeah. It's okay, Kaze.
It won't actually hurt him if he's forgotten it.
There was nothing there. Time.
But I do know James. James is a buddy past the Potence, previously in Season 6, known as Past the Picanha. It was a team that my team in Season 6 had to get through on our way to earning an invite to this, and then Past the Potence got a call up. So we're kind of kicking around in the same circles again anyway, but James, it wouldn't surprise me if he's looking to make a few of those reasonable but kind of chunky time-saving skips against someone like Kasten. I know that, not unlike me, he feels maybe he's at a bit of an execution disadvantage generally against invitational level runners.
Yeah, I will say this is what the nice second sword. What as a teammate or a member of JKLOL, this is our third season in Invitational, so definitely have been around the block a bit in this league, so but nice second sword for Kaysden, and gonna save and quit from there.
And Kasten's one of those runners, not unlike James's teammate PH or Fibonacci, who's put a lot of serious work into the execution side of the game. I feel like that's pretty well known in the circles that you and I and James kind of run in. So it's not as though he doesn't know what he's gotten himself into here.
Yeah. Now it does look like the small key for Hyrule Castle is in Dark Cross, so this will be our last check. All of Hyrule Castle is in Logic, and we're running out of choices. It's looking more and more like Zora might be the answer. This green pendant, of course, should send Kaysden to say, oh, right, I forgot Saha.
Speaking of alarm bells, there's that alarm bell. I left 3 checks behind. Good thing the game kind of bailed me out.
Yep.
And what's he do? He turns north instead, of course.
I do wonder, what do we have left? I guess we have Zora and... Have we seen all 3 pendants now? I know we've seen 2.
We've seen at least 2.
But our runners have just swapped places.
Yeah, they have. Keeping track of those pendants and crystals in this is one of those that can be a little a little disconcerting with the general pool placement of them.
So yeah, the only real difference is, besides what they're doing, like Kaze has hit Agina and scouted the desert ledge. James has avoided that so far. Kaze skipped out on Sahasrahla. I gotta imagine he'll be back there.
It seems like the kind of place that you don't really get to avoid, especially when Dark World access still has not fully come into your inventory, where you're still looking for, in this case, the Moon Pearl.
Yeah, and unfortunately, like, it's looking more and more like Zora is going to be our answer. And the only way to get to Zora, or like to feel like you're getting something out of Zora, is to have flippers with a Pearl right now. Like, that's unfortunate, is that we just do not have, like, Zora's a one-off without the Pearl or the flippers.
And there's only so much you can do about it, because what's your alternate play? Are you going to do Dark Aga, assuming that Zora has your lamp? Is that really a play you want to make?
No.
No. The answer to that should be no.
But Case has finished up his front of escape, so I gotta imagine this is going to be Saha for him, and then I assume we're going to meet up at Zora, because James is about to get his blue rang. Like, we haven't seen a bottle, no mirror, and we've done the mountain stuff we could. So there's the Agina finish for James. Luckily, we did get money. That little pause there on the start screen for James is like, what am I missing? Like, really? Is it this bad? Like, you want to have that feel that you're doing something really, really good, and we just don't have that feeling.
The early game of this is giving me certain flashbacks to the homemade beer TJ Maelstrom game, where for the first half an hour, the game just did not cooperate at all.
Yeah. I remember watching that race, and there just wasn't a lot that they could do. So James is heading for our man under the bridge. Kays is going to do the same. Okay. So minor route inefficiencies on both sides, I'll say. But overall, you know, what, we're a couple of seconds divided at this point.
The Kayston's route may be a little cleaner, James making it back up with the Eastern Palace Vanilla Big Key location skip. So, yeah, just a few seconds separating until and unless James gives that time back.
Another crystal there on Lake Hylia. But just a regular blue crystal. But oh my gosh, I got really scared there watching James swim around that fireball and crab. Whew.
An exciting early moment in the match, 20 minutes in.
We could splash the lead, of course, for Zora Ledge, but not really important. Kay's also a little scary around that crab, but gets through it maybe a little smoother, but equally terrifying. And here we go with the Zora area. Mirror or pearl or hookshot or lamp or book, I guess. Are those the only things? I mean, flippers.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think, like,
flippers
yeah,
would work. Boots, I guess. Boots gives us 2 checks.
Yeah. That's a hookshot. We are heading to Death Mountain.
It is nice when you go up to the fish and you know that he's going to have to give you something worthwhile. And not only that, you don't even know what it is necessarily, but since you're popping the save and quit no matter what, you've got a hot second to think about it.
Now, here's the annoying part. Like, you get the mirror here, you get the book, you get the pearl. It's like, I want to do GT here, but we really can't do much with GT. GT is open at 0 crystals, but it's not going to feel great when, you know, we can't really do left side. We're missing Kane for left side, we're missing Hammer. Right side, we're missing Kane. Like, you're hoping to get something really good here.
It does seem like the kind of situation where maybe James could take a little bit of the bait into that, or no, he's walked by the hammer now, hasn't he?
Yeah, he knows.
Okay, yeah, I was
going to the desert area when he got a
crazy there myself for a second. Yeah, no, with knowledge of the hammer, you're not really in much of a position to look at 2 checks in GT and say, yeah, that's where I want to be right now.
Big shocker, we do find the pearl in Paradox 5 as well as our red cane. That does open up some stuff in GT. The question is, will there be a small key in Hope Room to continue on right side to Compass Room and potentially all the way to Ice Armos? Or as Cross Daves points out, will we get a big key and consider the climb? I mean, we got good health for the climb, to be honest.
James, where are we going? We're heading direct to Dark World. We're going to skip Spiral Cave, which is, again, this maybe we're seeing another one of these instances of James FNX making a tactical skip of something that takes a while, particularly without the boots.
And that's the thing, like, from our perspective, it looks just to be enough. Like, he's just made up a little bit of time, kept a little bit ahead. Like, because Kays slowly crawls back. There's little things that Kaysden does with his movement that will cause him to gain time. So, you know, James is not getting burned by this. You know, it was 3 bombs in Eastern Big Key Chest. It's $20 in Spiral Cave. He's fine. Super Bunny giving us just more money. I will say, if we pull a mirror here in Hookshot, I think I'm bailing. Like, I want the hammer before coming back up here, and I'll give myself that, like, moment to go get a hammer first. And, like, the other side of this is, I think a scout of TR makes a lot of sense. Like, I know how much we said TR is a bad dungeon, but I'm looking at this equipment, and I'm like, this is pretty jet.
When you can get at TR this early, it does have a decent chunk of items in it.
Like, honestly, if we get a mirror, are we in... We might not be in go. Especially with Ether being required for Turtle Rock. But James into GT, he's going to scout the torch.
And probably steal the small key and choose to go right.
Yeah.
Would be my guess.
Oh, there's that Ether medallion. So Boots locks at least one dungeon, could lock two. That could be our lock out of Desert. So Boots does have some value potentially for this seed. And yeah, Kazdan is also going to head over to GT. But we did get two small keys. Yeah.
Small keys. Yeah. Yep.
So no question, we are going to do right side GT here, head for Ice Armos, and I mean, honestly, if we get the big key here, a GT climb is certainly in our future. Like, I look at this equipment, I'm like, you've got the health. You know what, we're almost a full row of health, that's 10 hearts right now?
Most of a full row of hearts. You've got the half magic and the fire rod and the silvers to make things easy. In the situations where you don't just want to use Master Sword on a tempered sword on something.
We do get our third sword there. Jason had the red ring out, didn't he? And then he switched. Or did he always have blue?
He got blue first, so I would assume that he was on blue.
Especially because I know he wouldn't switch to red. Ah, the bug net out of tile room, so another skip for James.
It's another one of those long time-consuming checks, and
yeah.
So far James has seen 3 such checks, and he said no to all of them. At this point, I think we can call it a real trend. It seems to be the way that James is going to play the seed.
Unfortunately, it looks like James missed the bomb jump or got bullied.
Missed the bomb jump. I'm not sure which enemy is in the bad sprite slot in this room.
Yeah, because that's a very off throw. Like, did he pick up something in midair that's completely, like, messed this up?
There was a fairy spawn.
Yeah, that could have done it. He needs to go probably into the big chest room and head back in. And there we go. Yep. Okay.
Oh no, he's not even going to do that. He's just going to light the torch and walk.
Oh, that's unfortunate. That's going to really make up a lot of time for K's. How much object permanence does James have? Unfortunate there. And there's the... Oh my gosh, Kazdan. I never would have imagined this room was going to give us so much trouble today, but here we are, folks.
This is not the room that you expect to see things go really sideways for both runners in, but
yeah,
every once in a while.
but both of our runners are caught up together, dropping into Ice Armos. I will say there's a fairy room right after Ice Armos, so if we get the big key here, you know, besides the big chest, expect to see a play for the fairy room. But here we go. There is our second Triforce piece for Kaizen. James right behind. Those are the boots.
Well, now you have to leave anyway and go right back into the front. And both of them had that moment of realization of, uh-oh, I better not.
Yeah, Kay's set up for the Death Warp. But we have no way to do the GT climb here. GT big key is on left side. Kaysen? Kaysen forgot he didn't pull a big key, I think.
Now, either that or forgot about, I've seen the hammer, therefore I have the hammer. I'm going to go over to TR, and I'm not sure how that was going to work also without a mirror, since he wasn't going to be on top of Turtle Rock, but you never know. It's Kayston. He's a buddy of mine and has been for years. I'll give him a little grief here. Sometimes all those cogs aren't quite meshed in the Kayston brain.
Yes. As he and I will always joke, and he won't mind me saying, is sometimes he goldfishes. He has readily admitted his goldfish brain. But yeah, Kaizen does know now that mirror gives him not just that hammer, but also TR. James might be a little less compelled to return to the mountain just because of that fact of not knowing that Ether is for our TR medallion. But we are going to see the Mire play, or at least the Mire area. James going to gamble on maybe finding a mirror here. Did you catch that medallion?
I absolutely did not catch that medallion.
It was Quake. So Quake for Mire, Blue Mail for Kaysden. There's our mushroom. Oh boy.
James just pulling all the fetch quests right now.
Yeah, we got a shovel and a mushroom pretty close together here. That is the front of Skull Woods, though, for Kaysen. He'll head to the Moth next. He's got that'll be a plenty easy fight for him. And honestly, Mind DM, I think if we go into Vu, I don't see a world where we don't just beat Thieves Town here. Like, I don't know about you, but like, we know the mirror is probably not, like, likely not in the big chest. So, like, you could probably just risk it.
With all of the items that you either have or know the locations of, it does feel like a solid risk. And it certainly seems like the kind of thing that, based on the play we've seen out of James so far, we can expect to see that from him when he gets into the village. The bigger question, to my mind, is whether or not Kayston's willing to make that gamble.
Well, and I think he's in the position where he's starting to count those items. He's like, what gives me go mode? What do I still need to finish this one out? So he's already starting to put that math together and go, what can I do? You know, where can I cut that corner? Because the early part of the seed was just very profitable, and I think he'll recognize the fact that, like, James is probably not far behind. There wasn't much to skip. So I need to turn on the jets a little bit. Decent moth fight, though, for K's. Minimal spike movement, and there's the flippers. And I don't think James wanted to die there, did he?
He walked out of the door,
Okay.
took a hit, and then decided, well, if I'm going to take 2 hearts Anyway, I may as well go ahead and stay at this level and spare myself the time. On green mail, you can get yourself sent back to the beginning pretty quickly by some guildos.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's just a small key under the bridge. For James, he did back to front on his play. It's a valid strategy. Unfortunately, it doesn't work out great with this one because of the fact that that blue mail was buried in the front. But finding the flippers for Kazan, I think that is kind of a note to him of saying, I can do Thieves Town even more. Like, I don't care now. Like, even if Mirror is in that big chest, I think he's not going to worry about it. James getting a nice kill there of the Moth as well.
I wonder if we'll see a skip of the front of Skullwoods from James here.
I mean, that's 2 items right there on the Moth, so... Hayes, on the other hand, has skipped the rest of Vu for now. He only did Sea House. He's just going to say, I'm doing Thieves. I mean, I guess the question is, like, if we pull Mirror... Oh. That's a book. That is Desert Access. What are we missing? We can beat East. We've beaten Eastern. We can beat Desert. We can beat Hera. We can beat Pod. We got Skull. We can beat Thieves, Ice, and TR. We can get both pieces of GT. Are we in Go mode?
I think that is Go mode for Kasten.
Because we can't beat... The only 2 dungeons we can't beat are Swamp and Mire.
And theoretically, you don't have to. And
yeah.
You can get 10 pieces without 2 dungeons.
Yeah, Hammer is on Desert Ledge. Kazan is rushing it. And we were, you know, we thought we were questioning what James might do. He is actually still doing the front of Skull Woods. But yeah, I mean, 10 hearts, blue mail, half magic, tempered sword, silvers. I mean, I'd want a mirror, but this is a good loadout for Go. You know, maybe we find a mirror and can do Swamp instead of TR. Maybe we get a Quake medallion and can do Mire instead of TR. But, like, nothing too major. And unfortunately, you know, we talked about those skips from James. James being a little bit more thorough here in Dark World, whereas Kay's played aggressive into Thieves and is like, I'm in Go, let's just finish. Like, that really puts James in a tough spot here. Yeah, I'm not sure why Kay's bailed on Thieves. He should have finished it. I will not disagree with you, Lana. I'll be curious what his thought is.
At the point where you pull the book and you think, well, Hammer, then the next thought should just be, but the Hammer is the function of Go mode for me. Why would I leave Thieves and have to run back over here and get into the Dark World again and do all this other nonsense?
I wonder if he's not put it together in his head completely yet that this is Go, or if he's really hoping for a better Go. That could be his, like, thought here is, like, I can, you know, maybe being a little thorough in Desert makes a little bit more sense. But
I'm simply not sure where the quote-unquote better Go part of...
And
well,
James Reeves too!
Okay, my brain doesn't comprehend this, Jesse. I'm sorry.
I agree. Like, and like I'll bust on Kayston for this in the interview because, like, he knows that I will not pull punches at times with him. Like, that's just how we operate as friends and teammates. But yeah, I don't know. I am curious what the thought is here with saying, I am not beating Thieves Town. Like, what could you want in Thieves Big Chest even?
Even if it's the mirror, the mirror at this point is just an opportunity to do swamp, and getting into swamp is time consuming, and then going through swamp is also time consuming. And then you're stacking on top of that, having to flute back to 3, get into the Dark World, come back down to Thieves Town, and then go back in. I don't get it. I just don't.
Yeah, and I think Moogle's got it. It's Racing Brain. Like, this is kind of one of those things, is like, this is kind of what separates runners in some regards, is like being able to really just pull a 180 out of nowhere. And the more adept you are at recognizing your condition, the easier that becomes.
And that certainly is a fair thought, because we're sitting here, we're watching both of them. We've got the proverbial 30,000-foot view from here in the commentary booth. When you're in the guts of the seed and you get an item that you know gives you something substantial, something major like the hammer, it can be really difficult to stop yourself from thinking, well, you know... Kaysden getting the questionable news that he cannot actually access Meyer here.
Yep. So he is going to pull the shed, but he's up. Like, James didn't even get the front of Thieves done. So this is Kaysden just going to start putting distance. This is where that execution makes more of a difference even.
He's already sitting there on a loadout where he certainly isn't going to have any difficulty navigating fights, whether they be with just enemies on the overworld, bosses, whatever. This is comfort level. You've got Blue Mail, you've got Tempered Sword, you've got Silver Arrows, Half Magic, Fire Rod. There's nothing else that you can really ask for here. You're ready to go.
Yeah. Like, you just look at this, it's like, okay, I have to deal with Dark Rooms. Does that matter? Like, Pod, TR, Dark Rooms? No.
On 13, 14 hearts with a Fire Rod for the difficult ones?
Yeah.
Not really, no.
That's the thing, like, this is NMG plus equipment. Like, this is simple.
And with the half magic and you've got the blue cane, even if you start to get in trouble, you can just pop your safety button and get out of it.
Yeah, like, if we got a bottle, if we got powder, nice, but we're not really worried. Yeah, as a runner, like, I think if they could pull Quake or Mirror, they'd be happy. I think they want to avoid TR or the Climb if possible here. You know, can I get out of one of those two? Because realistically, like, depending on where that GT big key is on left side, and if we don't pull the mirror, there might be a world that TR is actually better than GT climb. Because we're talking at least some basement and then a 3.5 minute climb. Like, that's such an interesting combination of time factors for them at that moment. Like, this might actually be the one case where TR is better than the climb. For sure.
When you've already gone in and pulled the Triforce piece from behind Ice Armos, I don't think there's any doubt. Though, of course, given the current loadout for the runners, they're looking at doing both because they don't have a choice yet.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. They do TR first because you don't want to climb GT and then have to, like, drop down or take a death. Kaysden's still going to open that big chest. And unfortunately, the leave was not worth it. James is going to hit the switch here in Ice Palace. So he is not hoping to have to need that big key for anything. He doesn't even want to look for it.
he already dodged the chest in Pingator's room. I don't suspect that he's going to open much of anything except for the one chest that he's going to touch in Spike U room.
I mean, he might touch Icebreaker. That's a quickie. Yeah.
Yeah, this one's also close enough. So,
Vanilla
and of
Big
course,
Key.
Big Key right there, right where it belongs. Good job, game.
Yeah, and as Lana's pointing out, you know, if our runners did not dip GT and get that right side play, they would have lacked boots. Or that desert play, so like it's really kind of rough. Kaizen, what are we looking for?
Maybe this is close enough to look for Quake. That's all I can figure.
Like, if we're gonna look for Quake, I'm like, you know, can we just go to like, can we go to Pod? Can we go to Ice? Like, I don't like
Go to
this.
a dungeon where you have to fish out a big key anyway. Yeah.
Yep, I'm not a fan of these VOO checks. Like, it makes me nervous.
I think that may have been a bit of a, these are so available and my opponent could have done these so early before go mode that if it gives me a better go mode, I should probably have a quick look.
Yeah, that's
I think
about
it was
as
a
far as it
defensive
goes.
play.
I will say, James shooting those puffs to the right. You know, I was about to say, like, if you're going to go for splash hits, you need to hit them to the left. But James's fight was so clean, I can't fault him. Like,
He certainly made
dang.
it work.
Yeah. Like, if you're learning that fight and you want to do the splash hits that you've seen a lot of people do, like, you spin cold stare up to the left, and then you get splash hits. Hitting up to the right is very vanilla NMG strats, and that's more if you don't have the magic for it.
Cased with that fancy double bomb strat there in the Pingator room.
I love that
looks so
strat.
good. Not only does it look good, it's fast.
And it's easy. Like, it's actually a very simple strat. When you enter that room, all you need to do is make sure you don't go below the second tile. Then just face right, drop a bomb, or face right, drop the bombs, and then throw the one bomb to the left. It's super simple to learn. And it's worth the time save, worth every second. I think Kaizen knows he's in go mode. I just think he's being like, maybe I can get a little bit of a time save somewhere. I think this is him saying, I don't want to do X, Y, or Z.
I do think it's probably mostly a matter of I don't really want to go back to GT if I can gain access to one of these other dungeons and spare myself fishing around for that big key and then having to climb the tower on top of it. It's worth the seconds that I'm spending to check these checks.
Yeah, if he can replace TR or GT somehow, like, Mire and Swamp are better. For various reasons. Avoiding a mountain climb, avoiding a few other things, like, this play makes a lot of sense. Like, or that hope makes a lot of sense, but how much time are you willing to burn when you can just go kill a boss? And I mean, his only skip here in Ice Palace is going to be Ice Tea, so it's not bad. It's just, you know, it's seconds, always. And here's that left spin we're talking about, so you're seeing a lot more splash hits on the puffs. So good fights for both our runners, though.
Amazing pod with bunches and bunches and bunches of small keys in the front.
And I guess one of those keys was a big key because James is heading straight to Helma.
Arena Bridge was the big key.
Yeah, so. I will say, if I see either runner go to the back of pod here, I'm going to have massive questions. At this point, back of pod is not worth our time.
No, that's dead and it has to be. Unless one of our runners has simply somehow gotten into half go mode brain, but not exactly, and they make an objective mistake. That's the only reason you would see this play.
Yeah. Like, I can at least logic out a lot of the ice plays from both of them. Like, I think ice, the chests are on the way. Pod, like, going back in doesn't feel like I can make the same determinations. But through the turtle room for James, Kazin into shooter room, he'll get his first small key. So this will be piece number 6 for James, piece number 7 for Kazin coming up. I will say I hope to not see any shenanigan routing of Palace of Darkness here. There was some interesting routing last night. And Kazin is going to give a hover attempt here.
He almost has to. Nope.
Kaz, you don't have a small key.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Kaz.
Now he's realized it.
We're not going to try the hover? What? Kazin, who are you?
I think he may have flustered himself so much with that he decided he wasn't even going to go for it at all.
Meanwhile, James is heading back to Thieves Town, so we're gonna see roughly the difference shortly. Now, here's the big question. Does James remember he did not get the big key yet in Thieves?
That is such a tough ask.
He should, because he'll see that he did not get that chest there on the first screen. Okay, he did. I think he recognized it. Yep, good.
Speaking of goldfish brain, I would not have noticed that chest at all. I would have blown right on by it. I would have gotten stopped at the big key door with a nice big text box and gone, oops.
Oops.
Probably one of those rare cases where even I would have wound up saying something that would not be safe to say on SpeedGaming.
Done Turtle's room for K's. So after this, it's going to be Tower of Hera. And like the seed routes itself at this point, you beat Tower of Hera. You go to TR, and then you're into GT. Now, here's the thing. We know Kaze knows he's in go mode at this point. He knows that the Ether Medallion was required for Turtle Rock, so he has no questions. Here's the question. Is James a little concerned about Quake for TR?
It's certainly possible, but the way he's been playing, it looks like he's just gonna take his chances.
Yeah.
again, it comes back to the way he's been playing the entire seed. He could have been worried about Quake potentially, or its ability to get him into Mire instead, which he does know about, and has multiple items left in the back of Pod. And what did he do? He left. He went on to the next dungeon, which is exactly what he needed to do.
Yeah. Like, he's at least a minute or two behind Kaysen right now. They were close, and, you know, this comes down to exactly what we thought was going to be one of the bigger question marks, was the execution side of this race. But at this point, I don't think there's a lot of corners that James can find. Like, is there a world where James finds Quake or Mirror to save the time? To catch back up.
If he does, I'm not sure where he pulls them.
Right, like, Kays is not checking Ether Tablet. Is there a world where James checks Ether and that's the Mirror and that's Quake? Like, maybe. Kays is gonna pull this first chest here. That's one item out of Hera. He's not worried now. But right as James gets his 7th piece, there's Kaysen taking down Moldorm for piece number 8. And that's the other item, so there's not even an item in Hera to make a difference here. And as James's teammate PH says in chat, like, it has to be somewhere on the way Kaysen will not get, and that James would overclear. And yeah, I mean, I get where PH is coming from. Like, I don't see him doing that. Like, the one check is Ether Tablet. And oh, nice. Gets the bonk to slip through.
I suppose the other 1 to 3 checks would be a big key for GT in one of the 4 chest locations, either Stelco's room or Rando room, and Kaysen sees that, and, well, if you don't have the mirror though, you're not leaving, because it's impossible to get away.
I was getting a little scared there. James heading for the TR screen, and I was like, James, no. And he's gonna check the tablet. He's got that book out. Or not.
Well, he had the book out.
He had the book out.
Wouldn't it be a cruel twist of rando fate if one of those early fetch quests that James had picked up was one of the things that would have made for a better go mode?
Yeah.
It is one of the things with this mode where you try to avoid slower checks generally and less dense checks specifically, and maybe you can justify Mushroom Shovel when you don't have a mirror or anything else in that area to pair it with.
Oh no!
Certainly less of an interesting check to most people.
By the way, James going for that big chest gets absolutely bullied by that spark and fell down a floor. Meanwhile, Kaysen pulling Butter Sword on right side Turtle Rock.
Because he needed this game to be any easier.
Yeah, that's not the kind of equipment that if you're hoping for like something for James, like, do not give Kaysen butter. Because, I mean, realistically, Kaze is going to go for the 0 cycle Trinex. Like, these are just things he can do now that are time saves. And, you know, maybe James hits the same, but, like, you don't want to make it easier for the runner that you're going against. Like, you want to leave some options for mess ups. And we're not getting Ether Tablet on James's side, so no time gain, no chance to skip something. And Kaze is being very cautious here, saying, I will not get 3%, 4%, whatever percented on Turtle Rock. And hey, that's a small key.
When you also have that outside chance of it being something that then allows you to stay out of GT, I can definitely see it.
Yeah. I mean, if that's Mirror or Quake, you are happier with your go mode.
All of a sudden, after you've killed Trinex and picked up that Triforce piece, you can just save and quit and go use whichever of those you happen to have acquired instead of fishing around for GT Big Key, climbing Ganon's Tower, yeah.
Well, and here's the question. If James skips the big chest and clears Laser Bridge, does Laser Bridge have a better item? Because I don't see Kazen really necessarily doing Laser Bridge. He's got the key. He's set.
It's a good question. All of a sudden, it's potentially given James just a couple more outs here.
Yeah. Like, has Kaze built up enough of a lead regardless of where GT Big Key is and what could be on Laser Bridge? That's really the question we have to ask at this point is, does it matter? Going for backdoor Trinex, nice on the Firehead, and equally good on the Ice Head. That is a 0 cycle. Well done. The problem is that it's not just a climb of GT here that we're looking at. It's a left side play required to find a big key. So there is extra time in GT basement here. I don't know if it's enough time save given where James is in Turtle Rock though.
And again, it's all predicated on either Quake or Mirror being on Laser Bridge, which is something that we may not even find out, depending on the way James plays the rest of Turtle Rock.
And here we go. Kazen back into GT. Just think, you know, a little bit ago we were saying how that we were like a book or from Go, and hey, here we are. We found that book and now we're moving. So first up, DM room. Will this have our big key and can we climb? Or are we going further to Rando room or map chest or, you know, there's another small key.
James, my friend, you have Butter Sword. Butter Sword is just fine for slashes on Pokies.
Okay, so James did not get the big chest. Will he get... Is there a key on Laser Bridge? 1. And 2, is there the other go mode condition? And I think Kazen's at the point where, like, even if he gets the big key in any of these rooms, I think he has to run out. I don't think a Death Warp's worth it. Kazen.
That was a bit of a quick swap mishap, I think.
The pause. The really? really the worst possible spot. Like, if it was anywhere else, he could have kept going or gone back. There's definitely that moment of, I can't believe you did this to me, game. But here we go. James on the laser bridge. 1, do we get the small key? 2, do we find Mirror Quake? There's the small key. So James is fine, and he is not even looking. James is also going to climb GT.
The game couldn't have put that small key in its vanilla location, huh?
No. I mean, I'm really curious what the rest of the laser bridge held. But yeah, Kaizen 12 hearts, climbing 15 max with blue mail, silvers, butter. This is a very, very comfy climb. Like, the only thing is no lamp, so might have to pay a little bit of attention to magic bar, but even then, not really.
There's enough magic on the climb. As long as you don't really overspend, it's difficult to get into a really bad position here. You can do it. It's possible. It's just unlikely.
Kaizen picked up that heart. But James has his 9th piece and is heading towards Ganon's tower. He'll be looking for that big key that we got in the Fire Snake room. I'm saying it shouldn't be a concern. I just know that sometimes things go wrong. Like, K's should be fine using silvers here on Landmo 2 and, like, not have any issues, but I've seen things happen where you just, you throw too many fire rod shots, you do too much something. And actually, it matters less now that I think about it, because our stun prize is full magics, isn't it?
Oh, you're right, it is.
Yeah.
Now, I was more thinking that he had gotten out of the area with the Zazax and Stelkos who were in the high value variety pack, and he did it right before getting back to the full magic entity. He had a fairy drop in the last room.
Is remembering, hey, you might need a small key. And there's that big key for James. He is going to take the faster portal set now. Having a bit of a better time than Kaizen did. Kaizen took a couple of extra warps. Kaizen not forgetting the most important thing about what he's doing.
Leaving when he's done?
No, grabbing the chest. Yeah. There is a world where people can forget that that chest is required.
Hi, this is me, my DM. I'm a gigantic memer, and I open that chest every time.
Hi, I'm Jesse, and in one of my main tourney races, my opponent forgot to.
Oops.
Yeah. When you talk to your opponent afterwards and find out that that was something they forgot to open that chest and missed and lost by that margin, you feel bad. So, yeah, big for Kaizen to remember to pull that chest, get his 10th piece, and here we go, dropping into Ganon. Easy time with the butter sword. Just gonna do some dash pokes here. Good practice always to make sure you can do dash strats. Into phase 3.
Those were some strangely cooperative blue Zazacs for James there.
Unfortunately, the bunny or the sword beams were not very nice on that last red Zizak.
The downside of pulling the fairy out of the high value variety pack when you have a sword that gives you sword beams is sword beams aren't terribly effective in this game.
But there we go. That is a nice triple to close out the fight for Kazden. Get your GGs in chat for him as he is going to win this race. Kazden just missing the sub 70, finishing with a 1:10.01 to take the game. And pretty much right after that, James deciding, yep, I'm good, and throwing in the towel on this one. So GG's to James FNX as well. Great race, very jet. We've seen some long ones this week. This is definitely much nicer in terms of the overall flow.
It's still rando. Sometimes you get those seeds that are just not terribly nice, but by and large, this flavor of Boss Hunt it's spit out a whole lot more seeds like this than the other.
Yeah, very valuable 3 more points for Team JKLOL. In terms of what that means for their division, they are in the Meyer division, and that puts it, I think that's all the matches for this week in Meyer. But we are now joined by James FNX. Hello, GG.
Hey, GG's.
Looks like we get Kazden as well. Good game.
Hey, GG's.
James, you made what looked like a really conscious decision to try to skip a lot of slower, less dense, more time-consuming kinds of checks, starting with the Eastern Palace, Vanilla Big Key location, and moving right on from there. Was that actually what you were doing, or was there something else at play there?
Some of it was that. Going into this race, I know Kazden can do GT skips, and I can't. So if I don't see an early hook shot, which it was fairly early, but not super early, I'm kind of down a piece just from the start. So I felt I needed to be a little bit more aggressive in terms of what I wanted to skip.
So I'm guessing Spiral was a conscious drop there.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Fair enough.
And they were definitely working out for you in the early game, and really that was time that had set you in pretty good stead until both of you got into the invisible floor room in GT Basement, and
yeah,
I guess there were adventures in that room, and they weren't all yours.
Okay, well, I'm glad Kazden got to enjoy that room as well. I guess I picked up something and screwed up my altitude, and my bomb jumps just weren't working. So, figured I'd do it the old-fashioned way. But
we're going to last about 6 frames longer than they did.
Oh,
they didn't.
Sure.
So
you got a beetle bump.
Walking through a beetle and decided to take damage before I got through the beetle. Fell down, had to go back and do it again.
Yeah, so they weren't as adventurous as my adventures, but I definitely lost some time there. I lost some time not realizing the book was potentially Go mode. I didn't know it was Go mode because I forgot to look at Turtle Rock Medallion, which was silly. But
So you had
Had I-
scouted
had-
the hammer too?
yeah. Oh yeah. Had I realized I was in go mode, I got the book and I mirrored because I was going to go get the hammer, do some other dungeons. I can come back and knock on an orphan on item in Thieves Town, and then I realized as I started putting the pieces together, oh, that's just potentially go mode, and that's silly for me to mirror out there.
Yeah, I left to get the hammer, and like I know it's kind of go mode, but not knowing what dungeons I would have to do. Didn't know if I could do Mire. I knew if I had to do GT climb, I had to also do the basement without a mirror to get the big key, and it was just wasn't looking forward to having to do that. So I did a few extra checks along the
I
way.
did GT basement immediately.
I did GT basement immediately, like real early in the seed.
Oh sure, but you didn't know where the big key was. Yeah, because the big key was on the left side.
Yeah, the big key. Well, I knew the big key's on left side, so without a mirror, depending how deep it is, like getting it is kind of crappy. You gotta go down. Like if it's in DM room, whatever. If it's much further than that, it just starts to pile on. Like, well, you can't go back anymore. Now you got to do this whole thing, and it's just it was a thing.
Yeah.
So I figured it was worth doing a little bit extra to try and find it, but at the same time, like how much do you do? Because the more you do and not find it, the more time you're throwing away. It's scary.
Yeah, and I was also in a position where I had scouted TR Medallion. I didn't know if I was actually in go mode or if I needed to do some more things. So I did a couple extra checks in ice. I did all of Thieves Town. I didn't do anything in pod other than the front. I was not going to go back in and go to the back.
I don't see how you're doing the back of pod in the seed. There's no way. Yeah, I skipped Ice Tea.
I skipped Ice Tea. That's the only
TR.
thing I also skipped Pen Gator.
I did do Pen Gator just because, again, to me that was a quick check that's worth it. That could have got me a mirror, do a quick Swamp Palace before climbing, and then I get to, make the decision, do I do GT or TR? They're probably pretty similar in the situation we were in, so.
Yeah, with a mirror, I'm not sure. I'm not sure which is faster, honestly.
Yeah. Ended up having to do them both and, do the whole loop around through the basement again, so that was fun.
Yeah. But I know I lost some time mirroring out of Thieves Town. And I was probably a little bit more thorough than you just because I didn't know I was in go mode until I got up to Turtle Rock. But
realistically, like, I'll be honest, your guys' thoroughness was about equal. Like, out of GT, you were pretty much right in line after that first trip into GT. And then when you guys hit like proper Dark World, Kaze went right into Vu, whereas you made the Mire and the boots checks.
Yeah.
Like there was a little bit of a time difference there. Skull Woods, you guys routed a little different from each other. So like when Kaze got the second item off of Moth, he knew he was done because he had already gotten the blue mail out of the front.
Oh, sure.
But for the most part, you guys made similar skips in the dungeons. We were really curious if we were going to see an ether tablet or laser bridge from you, James, to kind of cut the time.
I thought about ether tablet, but it's like
I thought about
ether
tablet too.
Yeah, it's like 20 or 30 seconds to do that, and I didn't really know where I was vis-a-vis Kaizen at that point. So
that's such a hard check to pick too, just because it's like if it's a mirror, it saves a bunch of time, but it just like you're running out of checks at that point of what you're gonna do.
Yeah, and you're already up
at a mirror, and the benefit you're getting is also diminishing so much at that point. So it's like, at some point you just have to commit and be like, all right, well, this is the go mode I have, and I'm gonna take it. Like I didn't even do TR bridge. Like at that point, that wasn't worth it to me anymore.
Yeah, I got the first check of laser bridge, got my key, and got out.
Yeah, I ended up doing the big chest in TR because not having the mirror, if you do get the 3% punish, like having to run all the way back and then run all the way back again, I was like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. I'll just do the
Very
big
reasonable.
chest,
Very reasonable.
make sure I can't get screwed over, and make sure I can kill the boss in one swoop. So
That's very reasonable. Yeah, like I just didn't know where I was vis-a-vis you. If you hadn't, for some reason, had not scouted that hammer, maybe I'm several minutes ahead because you're doing things looking for a hammer that.
I mean, I was in the back of my mind too. It sounds like it didn't burn you, but like you could miss that hook shot. And
You can't actually miss a hook shot in this suit.
Well, you can't miss it, but
realistically,
you could end up doing Aga for pyramid or something.
Where was the
why would you
lamp?
do that without a lamp?
Yeah, that's fair. I wasn't thinking about that at the time. I was just like, I'm just being thorough because I'm not touching Aga.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
it didn't
to put
really
it
enter my mind
plainly,
until I found the hook shot. It's like, this is kind of an obscure location, but
your guys' last checks were that. Like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, no, that
like,
you're not doing
think-
that earlier when. Yeah.
Like, Keys, you fluted directly to desert right after CAC, so you very quickly knew about the hammer. But given the flute access early, like, there was not a world either of you dodged that site. And then, like, I think the only thing that James hadn't done was Eastern Big Key Chest when it was hookshot at Zora. Like, I think that was the only thing either of you hadn't done.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And you're not going back to that. If you skip it, you're committing. So
Oh yeah. Yeah.
you're going right to Zora and crossing your
Yeah.
fingers at that point.
You missed a very important 3 bombs.
Amazing. What I
Yep.
missed in Spiral Cave. Winners don't do Spiral. It's
$20?
perfect. Exactly.
Yeah, I was gonna say nothing important. I don't remember. And I had a feeling this seed was going to be one of those seeds when we get into CAC and pull 2 bows immediately. It's like, oh, okay, here we go.
Have been pinged. From one Mr. Adirondack Rick telling us there's going to be a race airing in actually like 10 minutes or less right here.
We need to get out of here. All right.
I mean, we're not in a massive hurry. Like, if you guys still want to talk, we have some time. But yeah, apparently at 5:30 p.m. we're going to be staying here for an open league race between a Gentleman and Aurora Snurd. So,
Oh, that'll be good.
yeah,
That'll be a
we
fun
were able
race.
to pick up an open league race today as well. So awesome. But yeah, we're pretty much done boss hunt week. We've got the rest of today and tomorrow for it, and then we're moving on to duality. You guys looking forward to it?
I haven't, and it's a mode that I like. I just haven't practiced a bunch of this mode, so we'll see how it goes.
It's worth practicing. The mode's just fun. It's
Yeah.
probably the best mode of the season. So
Probably. I like boss hunt too, even with the tweaks that having on Rando have given it. I kind of like this mode.
it's oddly more fun than it has any right being, but it's also just terrifying to play because
Oh, it's super stressful. You just miss the route, like what happened to Pichu last night with just bow
you
on
miss
catfish.
one check,
Once one
you
check,
miss one
and
thing, and the whole seed gets turned upside down.
Yep.
And if you full clear the game, you're, just spending too much time. So
It feeds into my enjoyment of gambling and casual boots and that sort of play. So
I'd agree with that.
I'm not gonna really take people down in terms of execution. So I like these gambling modes a little bit more.
Yeah, just looking over the schedule. Past the Potence you look like you use a hook and lamp.
Yep.
And then for us in JKLOL, it is going to be the Aga's backup dancers for Duality Week. But that will be starting on Monday. And yeah, I was just talking a little bit about the division. So this is the Misery Mire division, and yeah,
And we're
Sphere
bringing the
Funity-
misery.
Sphere Funity and Use Bow at the top right now, undefeated, both at 4-0. Aga's backup dancers and JKLOL following at 3rd and 4th with 6 points. And then currently winless, unfortunately, past the Potence, Risky and Terrible Gambits, and the Tile Roomies, all at 0-4. So everybody done their races in the Meyer division for this week.
And with that, I think we've reached the point where we've got to go ahead and close up shop so that they can set up for the next race of Boss Hunt. So stay tuned right here, everybody. Jesse, it was a pleasure as usual.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun today. And yeah, so stay right here. There's going to be a race starting in like 5 minutes. They're already starting to do crops and talk with the runners. So stay here, watch the Open League race. Should be a lot of fun. Thanks everybody for watching.